Good morning. I'm glad you're watching this morning. Okay, so I want to say everything's hunky dory and rosy. It's not. Things are a little tough right now for me, but that's okay. I'll come out of it. I've come out of this type of situation many times. Now, I want to make a comment about political commentaries. Okay, so there's a contrast. You've got Luke Beasley and you've got Adam Mockler. Now, both these guys are a little too mainstream Democrat for me. They're not. I really hate it when people like that are called left. They're not. They're center. Okay, they're not left at all, really. Um, and really, my beef is not Mockler. Mockler does a fantastic job, and both of these guys are great when they go out into the field and they talk to Trump supporters. They do an excellent job. Excellent. Then they come on and they make their commentaries and they play clips and all that. Now, Mockler does a great job with that, in my opinion, even though he is a little too far to the right for me. He's in the center. He's I wouldn't call him center left. He's just center. Okay, he's neither right nor left. He's just center, which that's okay. That's better than center right, and it's better than right. Okay, it's not really left. Okay, and he can be whatever he wants, of course, like all of us can. But now Beasley would be really good if he would cut the fucking commentary. His commentary is too long. It assumes that people don't know what they're watching. Now, most of us who watch this type of programming on YouTube, we're watching a lot of different ones. Maybe we're watching Midas Touch. Maybe we're watching the Young Turks. Maybe we're watching a couple of the other very good high content ones like Rebel HQ, which is really Young Turks, or even the what do they call it? The Damage Report or whatever it's called. And then I'm not seeing too much of a couple of other ones anymore, which is kind of sad because they were really good. Now, the problem with Luke is Luke wants to just wax on and on and on and give us his personality with really short clips of what he's talking about. Look, do you think your viewers are stupid, Luke? Now, okay, maybe you're trying to pull in the Generation Z and the millennials that are not up on this stuff. Okay, I'll grant you that. But you know what? All these explanations are boring. And I, for one, don't like them. Okay? I don't like them. And I skip through your crap to get to the real meat of what you're talking about. Now, if you would get 4 or 5 different clips together, string them together and tie them together in a very meaningful open loop and then close the loop at the end, that would be great. But you're not doing that, Luke. And it's really a shame. I mean, I'm not going to unsubscribe from you because you do present some good stuff. And I know you're getting there with some of your folks. I know you are, and I'm really glad to see that. So Luke, go forward, do a better job of this. Get out there in the crowds again. And you said you were going to. I was watching your clip this morning, one of your clips this morning, and you said you were going to. That's great because that's what you do the best. And then if you could string together these vignettes. Now I can't get out and do these things, or I would. And I'm still setting up part of my studio to be able to string clips together because that's what needs to be done, and that's what Ben Mycelis does so well on the Midas Touch. He does that very well, and he's too much in the center for me. Okay, so which leads me into my midpoint here. Now the midpoint here has to do with thinking that the GOP was once great. It was not. It hasn't been great since Eisenhower. So let's not get off on that shit. And let's not give them any credit because they have been basically a shithole political party basically since Nixon. And Reagan was a total nightmare. Don't give him any credit either. He was a nightmare. He was a piece of shit. And you talk about mentally incompetent? Boy, he was, especially toward the end when Nancy shielded him from the press to show how deep in his, what was he, did he have dementia, or he had one of those, or Alzheimer's or something. Okay, and she shielded him, and that was smart on her part. Kind of like when Woodrow Wilson had his stroke and knocked him out of commission, and his wife or partner did the same thing. So let's get real here. The Republican Party is not worth salvaging. It's not. And unfortunately, what I don't like is all these, what Trump calls rhinos, moving over into the Democratic Party and voting, which is good because we don't want Trump reelected. I really don't want Biden to be that candidate. However, he is. And, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I listened to a couple of his. Come on, this raspy voice son of a bitch. I mean, yeah, he is appropriated, and he has been part of a lot of a little bit left of center thinking, and some of the things are definitely left that he represents. But he's not an able person. He's not. He is not a valid able person. And the other guy who I love dearly, I won't name him, but I love him dearly. He's a good candidate. Jill, come on, Jill Stein, give it up. Give it up. All you're doing is helping getting Trump elected. And see, that's what we have to avoid. We can't get him elected. And now Democrats, you've got to sweep the House, and you've got to increase the amount of majority in the Senate. We got to get this over with. We got to get these guys out of there. You have to point out what they haven't done. They haven't done anything in the House, hardly anything at all that's worthy of note. And in the Senate, they have done some bipartisan stuff, blah, blah, blah. And all this crap about bipartisanship. Bullshit. Bipartisanship winds up being corporatocracy. Yeah, it does. Bipartisanship is bullshit. And especially with and now I know we need it to get some things passed and things like that. Okay, it's a necessary evil. Okay. But Democrats, especially progressives, need to come out. We need to get more progressives. Got 100 in the House so far. We need to get like 200. And we need to rule the House. And then if you elect Biden, he's going to go along with your stuff because he is impressionable that way. He's going to go along with it. And if you can get the Senate up to about, well, it'd be nice. It's not going to happen. But if you get it up like to 67 to where we could get rid of Clarence Thomas and get rid of that other no good Nazi bastard Alito, if we could get rid of these guys, then we can make some real progress in our country. We could actually get back to what made us a better place. Now, make America great again. Okay, well, when was America so great? When did America not exploit foreign entities? When did America not oppress the poor? When did America, now, let's go back to FDR. FDR did some great stuff. And unfortunately, Eisenhower was kind of the stasis of that. And so was Truman to a small extent. I don't think Truman was so great. Some people think Truman was great. I don't. I think he was an idiot. He was just a haberdasher. That's what he was. I'm not a big Truman fan. At any rate, this is history. This is past stuff. And it's good because now we can move into an era where we have to have a lot of positive action, and we have to have it in a timely manner. And thinking that the Republicans are ever going to do anything good for you, Mr. and Mrs. America, Mr. and Ms. America, and everybody in between, thinking that the Republicans are ever going to do anything good for us, that's insane. They're not. They haven't. They haven't done anything good since Eisenhower, really. So come on, wake up, you guys. Let's get them out. Let's sweep them out. Because all they are is garbage. And let's not sweep them under the rug. Let's sweep them out. Let's vote in people who are progressive, who represent what you guys want. And I mean the majority of Americans. Majority of Americans don't want the Republican agenda. And you know what happens? Okay, so a lot of people hate politics because it's overdone. And I agree. Politics does get overdone because of the media constantly pounding the same old shit over and over and over again. Fuck, no. The politics are important on the level of issues. And that's where now you guys that are bored with all this, don't like it, and especially Trump supporters, okay? I have other names for you guys, which I will not repeat here right now because it pisses you off and then you shut down. Here's the thing, Trump supporters. You like this guy primarily, and this is what I've seen by watching the crowds and all that kind of stuff, because he's entertaining for you. He says very cynical, sarcastic things that are entertaining. But lately, he's been showing what an incompetent fool that he is, which we knew that he was when he got elected. We knew he was an incompetent fool. Look how he mishandled the pandemic. The previous administration had reams and reams of strategies to deal with the next pandemic that they threw away. Him and his folks threw it away. And this is what caused this problem with inflation to a great extent, in my opinion. Okay, so we had a supply crisis. We didn't have the supply. That drove prices up. Then we had a transportation problem underneath it, which kept the prices up. And then your companies got used to making all that extra profit, which, okay. So I'm what you would call a facultative capitalist. I buy into capitalism because I kind of am forced to, in a way. I don't want to take total, I don't want to give total victim on that. However, let's put it this way: capitalism has not been good for the country. It's not. Capitalism is not good. It's not a good system. It has done many great things, like it's raised people up from poverty and put them in a position to where they really have something going on. Okay, we can say that. However, the problem is you had the demand going way up. You had the ability to deliver and the supply down. And then the transportation costs went up. And then your big companies, they got used to ripping you off. So now they're continuing to rip you off. Do you know that food prices have increased by 25%? In the grocery industry for years and years, it was like 5%. That was the margin, was 5%. Well, okay, so if you're a profiteer, you're not going to like that. I'm not going to invest in those industries because the profit margin is too low. Okay, well, I understand the capitalist logic there, but that's not a logic which benefits the majority of people who are living, which now some of the data is saying it's 60% are living paycheck to paycheck. 60%. So if they have a major crisis that costs over $1,000, they're screwed. Yeah. Where are they going to get the money? If they have bad credit, they're not going to be able to get the money loaned to them. And if they do get the money loaned to them, how are they going to pay it back in a timely manner? Because they don't have the revenue to do it with. So there's a big problem right there. And when you inflate the cost of things, and of course now when it comes to equipment and things like that, which I do, I sell equipment. I've been selling equipment for many, many years. And a lot of the parts that have to be purchased, outsourced, have gone way up in price. Material costs have gone up. Now, this is where businesses come in. Businesses, okay, I know you guys want to make as much profit as possible. That's the whole idea of having a business, isn't it? Well, yeah, okay, yes, it is, okay. However, on the other end, you've got a duty to the consumer. You've got a duty to the people that buy your products to keep the prices fair so you can have an adequate supply to meet the demand and still make a profit. Now, should you make exorbitant profits, like 25% increase in profits for food? Not so good. And then you see what happens in the restaurants. The restaurants, a lot are going out of business because of those increasing prices. Because you go down and you're going to buy like a steak dinner that used to cost, with everything $50, right? No, now it's $100. If two of you go out for a steak dinner and you get, you go to a quality restaurant and you buy, tasty food and beverages, you're going to spend over $200. Well, how many people can really afford to do that now? Okay, maybe 10%, maybe 20%. Let's give it 22%, okay? Okay, then that leaves 78% out in the cold. They're not going to be able to do it. So you go down and you buy a steak. Steaks used to cost a couple bucks a pound, right? $3 a pound. Now steaks could be $10 a pound, right? Anywhere from $6 to $10 a pound. Some of the prices, have gone down. Okay, so food way up. Gas, okay, this orange pus bag, this leaking pile of verbal diarrhea goes on and says, yeah, under me, gas prices were down to $1.80. Sure they were, because the demand was way down and the supply was high, and OPEC hadn't got their thumb out of their ass yet. So gas prices are controlled basically by the oil and gas industry, who are trying to rape as much profit as they can. Because let's face it, they can mouth you and say, oh, they care about what transportation, which is really where this comes in the pollution scheme of things, which is about, I think it's 18% of the pollution is caused by transportation. The gasoline that we burn and our cars and our trucks and other vehicles, things like that. That's about 18 to 22% of the greenhouse gas that's out there. Okay, so but still, we have a duty to keep that down, and those guys are not contributing to make it cleaner. They're not okay. Well, we can't. You can't have EVs, because if you have all EVs, well, there's another problem. EVs are not. They're not affordable for the majority of us. They're not affordable at all. I mean, what are you going to spend? You buy a used EV for like 22,000, or a new one for 50? No, come on. The average citizen can't afford that. Okay, even gas-fired. You go out and buy a brand new gas-fired car, it's at least 22 to 24,000 for a little tiny car. Okay, if you get a full-size car, it's going to be 30. And you know what? What are your payments going to be? Okay, so let's say you've got stellar credit. You got 800 is your credit score. So your payments are going to be $300 a month for 6 years. Okay, so if what you're paying for mortgage or rent is 20 to 25% of your take-home income, then that's going to be affordable. But what if it isn't? I have a friend who has been staying with me for quite a while, and I really appreciate him being here. He's been a big help to me through some health crisis I've gone through. And he's out looking at homes with a partner, and they're saying affordable rent is $2,500 a month for a house. $2,500. Holy shit! That's ridiculous. Now, you can't tell me that the cost of providing that home has gone up that much. I could see maybe $1,200, $1,300 or something like that. Maybe a big house, $1,500 to $1,800. I could see that. But $2,500, $3,000 a month? No, that's ridiculous. And I guarantee you their costs have not gone up. Now what's going on is they're making 50% or 100% more profit. That's what's going on. That's wrong. That's wrong. And mortgages, come on, the interest rate and all that shit. This doesn't favor the people and the amount of people that ought to be homeowners. It doesn't favor it at all. So you've got a housing crisis like that. You're making $80,000 a year, okay? So 80 the grand out of the 80 grand, you're going to take home 60. Okay, so that's $5,000 a month. So if you're paying half of that in rent or mortgage, that leaves you with another half to pay everything else: utilities, car payment. And what are you going to wind up with the end for disposable income? Not very much. And 80 grand, that's like a close to a median household income here in Arizona. I think it's like 82 or maybe less than, it might be 60 something. If so, how are you going to afford a $2,500 a month house payment and have any disposable income and be able to buy good food and pay utilities, things like that? What's going on here? This is wrong. It's wrong. And yeah, do we need rent control? Absolutely. Okay, so you got a house. Your mortgage is, you have to pay for your rental property. It's $900 a month with the insurance. Let's say it's $1,000 a month with the insurance and everything else. Okay, so add 500 onto that. Well, 600 for the profit. Okay, now you've got a decent little profit every month. You're making $600 a month. Okay, but 2,500 a month, 2,500 when your expenses on that's 1,000. Now you're making 1,500 in profit. Well, good for you. I'm glad you are. But how are you helping people that are going to live in these houses? People that are making, okay, so they have a combined income of 80 grand. Well, it's going to leave them $5,000 to pay for everything else. And at the end, what's their disposable income? Are they going to be able to go out and eat a $200 steak dinner? Two people very often? No, not very often. So therein lies the rub. A lot of shit's wrong. And you know what? This whole capitalist profit-driven mechanism of things does not benefit the people and what the people need. Now, for you MAGAs, okay, I understand that you guys are pissed for what's happened in politics and government since whenever. If you're a boomer, we're pissed since the late 60s, okay? Or earlier, we're pissed. Well, okay, I understand. But electing and going for a guy who's not even a good comedian, who doesn't have your best interests at heart at all, and a party which does not ever have your best interests at heart, i.e. the GOP, okay, no, it's not going to work. It doesn't work. I know you're fed up with the Democrats because the Democrats have promised things that they didn't deliver. Okay, well, let's look at why they didn't deliver, and then I'm going to go. Why do they are not able to deliver? It's because of obstructions, a Republican obstruction. It's because of corporate Democrats infighting in the party. It's because of losing control of the House or the Senate or both. It's because of those things. So you get a guy in like Obama who wanted to get a lot of shit done, and 100 days in, he's screwed. He's string halted. How's that going to work? It's never going to work. It doesn't work. And getting mad because the Democrats didn't deliver because they didn't have the votes to deliver for you, that's ridiculous. The only way you're going to get them to deliver is like what happened in the first part of Biden from 21 to early to 22, when we got all these things passed, when they got all these different bills passed. Now, they're not perfect. There's a lot of bum crap in them. There's no doubt about it. But they did get stuff done, like the infrastructure bill. They did get the Inflation Reduction Act, which, okay, so inflation's 3 to 5% right now, which is a lot better. So they got that done. They got a bunch of stuff done. Now, if you would have kept them in the majority and kept the Republicans out of there, it'd be a different story. And the other thing is too, you need to get back in there and get rid of these Supreme Court justices. We need to get rid of them. Either that, or if we can't get rid of them, we need to expand the court so that they don't have the majority. Okay, and we also need to make sure that these two old idiots that are in there get gone, because they're either going to die off or they're going to retire. But I just don't think. I'm sorry, I just don't think Alito's going to retire anytime soon. I think he's going to stay there until he just can't function or he becomes, health-wise dysfunctional. So I don't foresee that. So what do we got to do? We got to expand the court, get more people in there, and erase their majority, right? Or you've got to elect enough senators and turn enough GOP senators, turn enough of them to impeach these guys and kick them out. They need to be kicked out. They need out. You get them out of there and you replace them with a couple of middle of the road or even left wing. And don't tell me that the court's not political. The hell it isn't. It's ideological and political up the yin yang. And that's been proven by the way they vote. So don't tell me it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be, non-political, but it is political. So we need to get people in there that represent what the people want. And now, finally, the final narrative that these assholes are bringing up now, I heard this the other day in one of these stupid forums they had. The lady says, well, you guys want mob rules. Okay, so you're going back to Monroe. You're going back to those papers they wrote. What do they call them? I don't remember them right now. But they wrote all these papers surrounding the Constitution, and they said, you can't really have a true democracy because that's mob rule. Well, we don't have a mob in the country. We have millions and millions of people, maybe close to 200 million people, that just want to have a good life. And they don't want to be taxed to death, which you got to have taxes, of course. They don't want to be paying all their money out every month for mortgage or rent. Okay, they want to have services. They want to have universal single payer health care. Now look, I'm on Social Security and Medicare also, and let me tell you, the Medicare is great. It's the best health. It's the best health insurance I ever had. Let me tell you that. So that's what people want. You're not going to get that with the Republicans. They're Republicans. They want to keep the pharmaceutical industry happy. They want to keep fossil fuel industry happy. They want to keep everybody happy that's against what we all, as a majority, want. They have to go. And that's what would make America finally great. And then maybe we can really have a democracy.